see that in many people's eyes?
I do. I see it in a lot of people. I think there's something that God put in all of us, and that's to overcome, to move forward.
Jesus Christ, you can trust him. He'll never fail.
We've seen midgets grow. We've seen arms and legs that stop growing. Mandada basata. I don't make this stuff up.
So are we going to be called away to meet the Lord? But it's not going to be 300 years. We live in right at the coming of Jesus Christ.
You're just a 10-foot-tall crybaby.
I'm crying.
It's not so bad. I mean, no, Christians aren't being killed.
No, not yet.
What the Bible says, Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with the woman, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And that, my friend, is the cure for AIDS.
The notion that atheists are somehow the intelligentsia among us and so forth, I think this is just completely false.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Age of Reason podcast. What's up, Alex?
Oh, not much, man. Glad to be back in the saddle again over here.
I know, man. I missed you last week.
It seems like it's been forever. I shout out to Nick for filling in for me. I appreciate that.
He did a great job. It was fun doing that, and I look forward to at some point taking a week off and letting you two take the reins.
Yeah, that'll be good. So yeah, thank you. And like I said, glad to be back here. I missed. There was some high. I mean, I guess low points, but I guess it hasn't been a steady flow of news, but there's been some big ups and downs, I guess, since then.
It's been crazy. We've missed a few really big things, but yeah, a lot of smaller shit too. But I mean, before we get into all that, here's my thing. I said this last week to Nick. I'm worried that now that I'm in Colorado, I'm not going to find fuel for rants. I like everybody that I've met here. So I've been here almost going on a month now, about 4 weeks, and everybody that I meet, they're not involved in politics, and if they are, they don't like Hillary or Trump. It's a wash. Now remember, Bernie won this state, so. But I mean, there's people that even the people that don't know anything about politics, they at least know that Trump is bad. So I don't really have. I haven't talked to anybody in 4 weeks, and trust me, like politics have had its opportunity to come up with me, as it always does. I walk around with the sign on my back, but apparently, like, it's not raising anything. So you're gonna have to take the reins on this, man.
Well, maybe as you get there longer and people, get more comfortable, maybe you'll have some good religious conversations, and those will get brought up. But I've had an interesting, I guess, conversation. Since it's been so long. It was after the Orlando shooting, and a guy that I work with, I've mentioned him before. He's pretty fundamentalist, and I'm sure everybody heard about the pastor from Sacramento that basically said that that's what God wanted and all this good stuff. Yep. My coworker made a post that said, while he didn't agree with the way the pastor delivered the message, which I'm really not sure how else you could deliver the message, but he said he didn't agree with it, but what the pastor was saying was correct. It is in the Bible. His post wasn't very clear. So I saw it on Facebook, and I was in the office. I walked downstairs, like, hey, let's talk about this, bro. So, we talked about it for a minute, and unfortunately, it was right before we had to go home. But I just told him, like, what's up, man? So explain to me how you feel. And he's like, oh, this is how I feel. It's in the Bible, clear as day, pretty much. And I'm like, well, we've talked about this before, but I've kind of gone back to my classic things, like, so shellfish is an abomination. It's mentioned more than gay marriage. So why do you not want to kill people for eating shellfish? And he had actually an interesting response, and it threw me off for just a second. He said, in the Bible, it doesn't say, even though it clearly says it's an abomination, it does not state that people who eat shellfish should be murdered, but it does say a man who lies with another man should be murdered. So I mean, it took me a second to think of a comeback, but I was kind of shocked for a second because I mean that is true.
It is.
Luckily, though, I was able to say, well, God also commanded for the Amalekites to be murdered. If there was a living member of the Amalekites alive right now, would you murder him? I mean, would that be the right thing to do, no matter how good of a person he was? And he was kind of wishy-washy, like I would have to go back and look at the scripture and see the exact way that God said it, blah, blah, blah. But it's interesting, I think, and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that you don't meet enough of them, but he really is that kind of fire and brimstone kind of Christian. And I don't know if it's the fact that he was born again, like kind of came into it later.
Guy from, way back, like somewhere within the first 5 episodes that we did. Is this? I remember 2 people off the top of my head. You told me about some guy who said, hey, I was driving down the road one night with my friends, and there was a cat in front of us. When we looked back, the cat was gone. Was it that guy?
No,
okay,
not that
so
guy.
Then
this is the one that felt Jesus come inside of him.
Oh, him. The ways we remember our Christians. So he was the guy that said, I know this is going to sound weird, but I felt Jesus come inside me. Yet everybody got pissed off at the Da Vinci Code when they made the assumption that maybe he came inside Mary Magdalene. But no, this guy came inside your friend Angel. Whatever. The funny part about this is that they continue. I see that, you said it threw you off a little bit, and it's like, it's hard to get thrown off because when you have all these conversations, they're always the same. So anytime somebody throws something different at you, you're like, oh, all right, hold on, wait a minute. You had an original thought for a Christian. That's crazy. But does he at all think about that this is not what Jesus wanted? Being a prostitute is not only condemned in the Bible, but it's condemned in our law as well, for the most part. Oldest profession known to man. It wasn't right, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying public opinion and written law. I'm not getting into whether or not I agree with prostitution, but it was wrong according to the Bible, and it's wrong according to, 49 states out of our 50, with the exception of a few places in Nevada. Mary was a whore, and Jesus took her in. So what I don't understand is, I understand it. They pick and choose exactly what it is they want to enforce. But my point is none of them enforce what Jesus taught. The good stuff.
That's I agree. And that's the next part that I, said before we had to go. I said, look, it's mentioned, I'm just guessing. Let's say it's mentioned 5 or 6 times in the Bible that being gay is bad, a sin, whatever, or they should even
it depends
be killed
on how
for
you read Sodom and Gomorrah. But
regardless, let's just say 6, or even if you say 16, whatever. If you take those 16 little phrases where it says it's bad or a sin or you should be killed for it, and you compare that to basically the entirety of the New Testament, which is about Jesus's life and how he lived, and you should try to emulate that. You would have to think that the life of Jesus Christ, the person that they worship, and seeing how he treated people, would outweigh a couple sentences. And I asked him, how do you square that? And he was, again, he's always like, I got to read some scripture, and he does read it all the time. So I give him credit for trying to educate himself on the topics, but it is usually the kind of classic Christian response. But yeah, that's the point that I was saying is, Jesus's life is just so different, basically, than what you're saying. How do you square the circle? And
well, one thing is it's hard enough as a Christian to the fact that you can't get any recent evidence. The most recent evidence you have for your claim is the New Testament. So you would think, as far as I know, there is no group of Jews running around. The Jews, as far as I know, do not have an equivalent of the Westboro Baptist Church. And the only book that they believe in is the Old Testament. and they're not going around doing all this shit. They're not going out and starting websites called God Hates Fags. They're not paying off, as far as I know. We don't have any in Congress for the most part that are saying, well, my Jewish belief is that I need to insert my fucking views and impose and oppress everybody else with my views. So, I mean, the Jews only have that book, and these guys aren't going around doing that shit. It's mainly fucking Christians, and that's what I don't understand. The reason we even have Christians is because there was an update to the first book, and some people wanted the update, some people didn't. And I understand. Windows 7, I wanted to shoot everybody that said it was their fucking idea. The Jews stuck with Windows 6 and before, and the fucking Christians went with Windows 7 and on. All of Windows sucks, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Fuck Microsoft. I'm just saying I preferred older Windows. But what I don't get is that these guys, now that they have the update, now that they have their savior, they're the one. This is the guy they honor by symbolizing his death all over the fucking place. I mean, because that's a good thing. Whenever somebody dies, we want to celebrate by looking at dead pictures and statues of him all over the fucking place. Regardless, this Christ is everything. It's not about you need to accept God to get into the heaven, or you need to accept the Holy Ghost to get into heaven. You need to accept Jesus to get into heaven. And the thing is these guys may say all they want that Jesus is their Lord and Savior, but nothing he did has anything to do with why he's the Lord and Savior. Because it's like they idolize Jesus, but they only pay attention to what parts of the Old Testament can justify their hate. That's, and we're kind of seeing that with Trump, honestly. We are seeing an excuse to hate right now. And it's the anti-intellectualism that you and I have talked about, the war. I mean, fucking Fox News talks about the war on Christmas. There's a war on intelligence. And it's being fueled by Donald Trump and his supporters.
And that's perfect because over these last 2 weeks, I told you I had a little rant, and basically you just set me up perfect with the alley-oop.
I'm gonna sit back and smoke my vape pen. You have at it.
It's not that serious, but it's just over the last couple weeks, and I've been off. I haven't had a chance to comment on anything for almost a month or something. So maybe it's the fact of that, or maybe just seeing all these stupid people, whether or not they're my friends, whether or not they're anchors on TV, just seeing the stupidity and the hypocrisy of people. It's getting to the point where I'm tired of being nice. When I see somebody and we start having these arguments, I'm just gonna tell them, "Look,
get it out.
You're you're stupid." I mean, you don't ever hear a fact come out with any of these people. I'm just like, if I keep doing it and like say, "No, I'm not gonna have this conversation," and then the person comes up and, "Hey, Trump's he's saying some good stuff right now." No, you freaking moron. He's never said anything good in his tiny little political career that matches his hands.
I was going to say, but not as tiny as his hands.
It's just, I'm done with it. I'm going to stop using facts and trying to win an argument.
You got to get into details. This is not a rant.
No, so for me, this is I've hit the breaking point basically. Like I'm tired. I've seen too many posts, too many, like I said, even people, just the things that people make viral, and I'm tired of it. I think, obviously we try to combat it weekly here with facts and reasoning and evidence, but I think we just got to start calling these people stupid and just pointing out that like
you can't do that though, because that is what makes you and I yin and yang. That's my job. You're supposed to be the rational one out of the two of us.
It's becoming too hard.
Well, let's do this.
It takes two to tango.
No, it does. So let's see if we have a tango right now. I don't know what side of this you're on, but I do have something that's been really pissing me off, and it may be something that you're for. So we haven't had an argument in a long time. I don't know. You might be on the same side as me. I don't know.
Let's see.
I am getting so fucking tired of Bernie supporters attacking Elizabeth Warren. I'm getting really fucking sick of it. I understand what it looks like. I understand the problem with her getting up with her fucking matching pantsuit with Hillary Clinton. But everybody needs to fucking remember what Bernie and Elizabeth Warren said when all of this shit was just kicking off. It is not more important to get Bernie Sanders into that White House than it is to prevent Donald Trump from getting into that White House. As important as it is, and as diehard of a Bernie supporter as I am, these Bernie or busters are getting on my fucking nerves. It's starting to piss me off because Elizabeth Warren is fucking amazing. You cannot have the respect that you say you have for Bernie Sanders and not Elizabeth Warren. They stand for the same shit. They're fucking twins for the most part. I would have preferred Elizabeth Warren ran instead of Bernie Sanders because I honestly think a female would have had a better shot at beating Hillary. But as I said, we weren't ready for Bernie, all that other shit. But I'm like you, I'm numb. I'm just Bernie losing the way he did, knowing there's corruption with Hillary, knowing the DNC and Debbie Wasserman Schultz fucked this whole thing up. Really, I'm past my anger. I can't fucking do it anymore. So my number one priority is to get Trump out of that office. So of course Elizabeth Warren held on to her fucking support. Of course she held on to her endorsement. She waited until everything was done, and now we all have to take what we can fucking get.
Yeah, but so I'm not okay. This is where I stand. She deserves to be criticized for a couple things, the way she handled this whole thing, and I think it's fair to say that she's a progressive. Okay, you can look at her ideas since before she got in office, but you have to think, you have to agree that it's the type of political calculating, right? If it was up to her heart, right, just up to her heart, she would have endorsed Bernie.
Sure.
This is just my opinion, right?
Yep.
If you take the politics out of it,
right,
she would have endorsed Bernie.
Agreed.
Bernie would have at least won Massachusetts, at least. I honestly, I felt like, and I was hoping it would have came before Massachusetts. If she would have endorsed him, it could have been the difference.
I don't think it would have mattered. When you have a side that is cheating and has the heads of your fucking party that you're having to compete against cheating for you, it wouldn't matter. Look at Nevada.
But okay, just think about like yourself, right? So previous, like you said, you would have preferred Elizabeth Warren over Bernie, mostly because no. I know, but mostly because you knew who Elizabeth Warren is, and she was somebody who she was a rock star on the Democrats for progressive liberal people.
Sure.
Right? So to say that she wouldn't have had it, if she would have went against the mainstream and everybody else and said, you know what, this is who I believe this country needs to go forward, the best case forward, I think she would have at least swung Massachusetts. That wouldn't have won the whole thing for Bernie, but I would argue that it would have had a tremendous pull.
Right. I know. I totally agree.
So her doing that, I think it's obviously for political reasons, right? But you even, I mean, it even to me looks bad on her because she didn't endorse Clinton at the same time. It was just, I guess whoever's gonna win, and it is what it is. I like Elizabeth Warren, but at the same time, I can see how a true somebody who doesn't like taking money from from the banks or, all the ties to the pharmaceuticals or prison industry that Hillary has, they could say for Elizabeth Warren to jump on right now at the end, I can see how it is a little, and honestly, it's probably, some people it's just stupidity. Some people, and I was going to also mention earlier, all the people that are always posting, you're just a Hillary shill, or just like there's so much you can't even argue with some Bernie supporters. So that obviously I don't agree with. I think you have to have a rational conversation and
right. But you said if she was thinking with her emotions, she would have went for Bernie. Here's the problem, and this is one of the conversation I was having with somebody yesterday. Nothing major, but one of the points I made is that making a decision with your emotions typically 9 times out of 10 leads to two things: overreaction and regret. And I think I don't think Elizabeth Warren was thinking with her fucking emotions. And that's why I agree. If she was thinking with her emotions, of course she's going to go for Bernie.
Yeah, but okay, but let's just play out the scenario just a little bit, right? So if I don't like hypothetical situations, I really don't, but I'm gonna put one on you, right? So the thing is, if she goes out on a limb with her emotion, and it's not just emotions, her brain, there's also a rational part of her brain saying these are the things I believe in, this is the person that I should support. So to be fair, it's not just a purely emotional thing. No, it's just taking the calculating part out of it. Basically, you can even say, encompassing the mental part, just taking out the political calculating part out.
So you're saying if she would have thrown her support behind Bernie, would something?
What's the worst thing, and he lost, right? Because I think she's going to be the vice president either way. I think she would have been Bernie's top choice.
I hope so. I hope that was going to be the case. And a year ago, you and I were predicting who was going to be the ticket, and that was both of our choices. Was was a Sanders Warren ticket. That would be great, but as I said,
but no, I'm sorry. So just play it out. So if she had thrown her support behind Bernie,
I think
and Bernie
if she would have thrown her support behind Bernie, she would be facing the same boat right now that Bernie Sanders is. So the way I look at it is that Bernie supporters, prior to Warren jumping in on Clinton, nobody has a problem with Warren prior to this. So going back to that time, nobody's got an issue with Elizabeth Warren. So if Elizabeth Warren backs Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders gets fucked, and do I think it would have made any difference even if somehow that would have caused him to win Massachusetts? No, because like I said, when you're playing against a loaded fucking deck, Bernie Sanders did not need any more support than he fucking had. He did not, especially when it came to celebrities. He did not need that shit.
But she's not a celebrity.
No, I know.
People that actually follow politics.
I know, but my point is if you like Sanders, you like Warren.
Exactly.
They're one and the same. So here's my point. What Warren did? Warren is basically, you know what? It's the fucking Titanic. We have 5,000 people on fucking board. And now that Bernie's lost his shit, we're losing 3,000. She's trying to save the last 2,000 people on there with fucking lifeboats. And what I think she did is instead of coming out and endorsing Bernie Sanders and getting on his side and really, really rallying up the youth and everything that Bernie did such a good job doing, instead of doing that and then having to go support Hillary Clinton to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get into the White House, it would have been a hell of a lot worse. She would have been getting way more shit then than she is now. She's getting shit just because she withheld her endorsement. Imagine if she would have endorsed Bernie and then endorsed Hillary Clinton. I think the way she's looking at it is
like everybody else is doing. I mean, that's what basically what happened.
She waited to the last minute. And right now, like I said, and I've said this before on this fucking show, nobody fucking said you had to like it. But every fucking vote that does not go for Hillary Clinton goes to Donald Trump because Gary Johnson isn't going to win the fucking presidency.
But you know what? Like I said before, also on the show, I don't know. I mean, when it comes down to it, I don't know what the difference is between
social policy and Supreme Court nominees.
Okay, Supreme Court nominees is the only one you can make a case for.
Social policy.
The president doesn't set social policies.
No, but his Supreme Court does, and their Supreme Court nominations are what they get. So if we care about health care, if we care about women's right to choose, if we care about gay marriage,
but let's be honest,
religion being rammed down our throat.
Let's be honest though. No. Let's be honest. Let's look at Donald Trump himself as a person, not what the GOP is about. Donald Trump doesn't care about the transgender bathroom thing, right? He doesn't care.
No, right.
For gay marriage, he's been for it. For gun laws, he's been for it. So let's
he's not now. He can't get in there because he's going to want re-election.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, Donald Trump is not even the nominee. As far as we know, yes, he is.
Right.
But the GOP is trying to have a mutiny.
They're collapsing.
So I agreed, right? But basically, what you have is you have people trying to I mean, everybody knows Trump's going to lose. I mean, look at the polls right now are coming out more and more in favor of Hillary. You know, I mean, it doesn't look good. His
negative 79% approval rating for Hillary Clinton,
and his disapproval rating is like 60%.
Yeah, he's got like 6% among fucking Latinos and 10% among blacks. Like it's the lowest it's the lowest approval ratings of any presidential candidate on a major party in history.
So you know what I'm saying? So this is where it's just I don't know. I have problems now that we've seen, to me, in my opinion, a pure candidate, or even, you know, Bernie's not pure, but, you know, somebody who is actually a public servant and somebody who actually
no scandals
no scandals, right? So somebody who wants to actually help people and who has I mean, when you really look at,
he's the standard of what our fucking candidates, not only for president, but all the way down to fucking mayor, should be.
Exactly, right?
Agreed. Yes.
That's so it's just hard, you know, and honestly, I'm taking a more and more serious look at Jill Stein. I mentioned her several times before, but, you know, she might end up getting my vote in November, and it's.
But she's not going to win.
Yeah, but neither is Trump.
You don't know that. That's the problem. Nobody thought he was going to get anywhere. Nobody thought he was going to get the nomination. Nobody thought he was going to be on center stage. We all expected it in the beginning. We all expected Donald Trump to be center stage because we're like, well, this is a fling that America's having with him, and eventually we're going to find out he knows absolutely fucking nothing, and he's going to work his way off the stage. Unfortunately, that was Jeb Bush. Nobody thought Donald Trump would get where he's fucking at. Nate Silver is pretty damn good when it comes to election predictions. He said there was a 2% chance that Donald Trump would get the nomination. I mean, we cannot afford that, and there are a lot of people that fucking hate Hillary Clinton.
But he's also said there's a 79% chance that Hillary Clinton wins in November.
He does, but he also said there was a 2% chance that Trump would get the nomination. So I'm not saying what my point is that a guy that's pretty much spot on every time, he was wrong. It's not worth it. And this is the thing. You're a Bernie supporter. You brought me on the Bernie Burn One bus. You're responsible for my love for the old man. Remember the whole Anna Nicole Smith thing? You're responsible for this. But one thing that I fucking remember is what Bernie Sanders said that needed to be done. It's more important to keep Trump out than it is to get him in there. He will do way more bad for this country than Bernie could ever possibly do good. And Hillary Clinton, as scandalous as she fucking is, like I said, 3 to 4 Supreme Court nominations. Abortion goes away. Abortion goes away. Gay marriage goes away. And we end up with way more religion shoved down our fucking throat. Look at what the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court this week in California, domestic violence, can't get gun laws. Our courts are starting to turn. The Supreme Court also struck down the restrictions that they were putting on abortion clinics in Texas and told them they couldn't fucking do that anymore. That kind of shit will not happen under Donald Trump, but it will happen under Hillary. That is the only good thing about putting Hillary in that office, is that she is a paperweight for our social justice.
The problem, the problem, I guess, to me is, you know, the whole political revolution thing. It's gonna die, right? So you have all these millions of people,
right.
And to be fair, Bernie almost won half of the votes. I mean, when you look at the delegate count and you
Not
look
to
at
mention the many that weren't allowed to vote.
She didn't secure enough pledged delegates to win the nomination, and there's a shitload of pledged delegates, right? Like if there was a 3-person race, last time it was 3 all the way, Obama, Kerry, and Clinton, and it was, the numbers weren't like this, right? This is, I mean, he did an amazing job for having, you know, all the setbacks and problems that he did, the media blackouts, and, you know, I also saw it was either Stanford or Yale that said, based on the election results it was a 1 in 77 million chance that there was not fraud in the election, and this was based on they took a count of places where there was paper polling or evidence of that, and Bernie won. Bernie's percentage of that was really high.
Right.
And then when they looked at the ones with no evidence, that was just computer voting.
Yeah.
Hillary's percentage was so much higher on those. They're saying the discrepancy between those and the ones with evidence just doesn't add up.
But here's the thing. What, by voting Jill Stein, what do you hope to accomplish?
I hope to accomplish to show the Democratic Party that if they want my vote, and obviously I'm just one person, but my vote and people like me, similar to me, which obviously there's hundreds of thousands or millions,
yes,
right? So we're not going to accept this same.
We're not going to accept them picking our candidate, right?
I mean, not just that, right? Not just them picking our candidate, but we demand more from our candidates than Hillary Clinton.
Understood. But in order to do that, you risk putting Donald Trump in office and the Democrats crumbling rather than the Republican GOP crumbling. And everything that comes with the Donald Trump presidency. Jill Stein is not going to be our next president. Neither is Gary fucking Johnson. It's going to be Trump or Hillary. And the amount of people that are out there, this is good. We're getting into an argument. All right, cool. I am tired of Bernie or Busters doing this shit. It's not time for fucking emotions right now. And honestly, it's fucking faith. If you, it's not
emotional. It's not saying.
Yes, it is. You guys want to shove it to the fucking establishment, which is what Bernie's all about. I'm all about it. I got it. But goddamn, man, we got to be fucking smart about this shit. We can't cut off our nose to spite our fucking face and just shoot ourselves in the fucking foot.
But the problem is that's what the establishment wants you to think. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Jesus Christ. Oh shit, that is a tinfoil hat.
No, I'm just kidding. But in seriousness though, it is. Look at the threat though that they've basically given us. Basically, right? If you don't support this candidate who 6 months ago, right, when it was Bernie and Hillary going at, or 3 months ago, you don't even have to go back 6. 3 months ago, a candidate you absolutely detested. Yep. You even on here said, okay, you were going to try to be peaceful and not say anything bad about her.
She ruined my vote.
She okay, yeah. Right? So you have to vote for this lady.
Yep.
Or you're going to get this monster over here, Donald Trump. To me, that's basically, I mean.
It's fucked up. There's no debate.
No. Okay, but so you could say no. I mean, what I can say in California, I feel confident about. Obviously, Hillary won in California, so she's going to win in the general. You could almost transfer it over because there's so many Democrats over here. But I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to vote for this corrupt candidate who lost my vote. I mean, I was prepared to support her a year and a half ago, or whatever, before Bernie got in the race. Okay, but the way that this campaign has carried itself, I mean, are you not forgetting? No.
Disgusting.
Are you not forgetting the things that they said about Bernie supporters that were uneducated?
No.
We need to look up statistics.
I am not.
All these things, right?
But what I'm not willing to do is fuck every bit of progress that Bernie Sanders has made by getting everybody involved and sacrificing it just to prove a point. That's not what's important. We need to be smart about this. Use Hillary Clinton as a fucking paperweight until 2020 and make sure that the fucking Democrats actually vote for congressional elections.
2020? If she wins the presidency, she's going to go another 4 years.
Yeah, but imagine what everybody... I've said before, we weren't ready for Bernie Sanders.
So 8 years
of... It doesn't need to be 8 fucking years. It does not need to be 8 years.
What do you mean? What president who has won has ever been primaried?
When has this ever happened before?
Who honestly? So the thing, it's up to the Democrats. You're telling me the Democrats in 4 years, no matter how ugly this gets, you're telling me the Democrats are going to say, "Oh, you know what, Hillary?
No,
you did an okay job as president."
You read the statistic. What's the statistic of how? I read the statistic about around 400 people are running for office due to Bernie Sanders throughout the country, for mayor, for Senate, all that shit. We have started that shit. Though there are people of this revolution that are going to stick around. And what that gives us is 4 more years to send the message of fuck you to the DNC. But don't shoot. No, fuck that. We can do a third party if everybody stays involved. We were not ready for this. None of us were.
But so you're saying in 4 years we're going to be ready for a third party, but
in 4
right
years
now
is
you
better
want to
than
waste
in the, no,
it's a vote.
No.
It's a wasted vote right now.
How the fuck is it a wasted vote? If you vote
I'm
for
saying
Jill,
right now, if I vote for the third party.
It's a wasted vote. It's not going to work.
But so in 4 years,
use your just logically. Can you logically tell me there is a chance that Johnson or Stein will win the presidency over Clinton or Trump without any emotion attached to it?
Okay, without any emotion attached to it, I would say that these two, and earlier you said Clinton's approval rating was like 69%. That is not correct. That's not.
That was the last poll I saw.
These two can't.
That was at Gallup.
No, I'm sorry. It's much lower. These two are going into this race as the lowest, both of them, the lowest. With the lowest approval rating of any presidential candidates in the last 20.
It was between the two of them. It wasn't overall approval rating. It was like, it was a poll between the two of them. There was a difference.
Okay. That's on the one I'm talking about is their overall.
No,
right?
It is the lowest in history. Understood.
So this is just an example with crazy shit that's happening, i.e. Donald Trump being the Republican nominee. I would not count it out. Honestly, I'm not. I'm smoking right now, but it's not acid. So I'm not saying that they have a good chance, but I just would not count it out. I think last time that I saw Jill Stein is like 7 or 8% of the vote. Obviously, that's small, but when you think that Bernie Sanders was 2% of the vote when he started, and at the end, was 47. 46,
we can't
48.
sit here and talk about how special Bernie Sanders is and then say somebody else has a chance of doing that in a matter of months.
Well, I mean, but Jill Stein has ran for president before under the exact same platform that she's running now, which, when you look compared to Bernie Sanders, is very favorable. The only thing that she is not for that Bernie is, and this is, part of the unrealistic, in my opinion, Green Party thoughts that we need to stop all war and drones and all that. It's not that simple.
Right.
But if it was up to her, if she were given the choice right now, she would probably stop all drone missions and
we have other stuff we got to get to as well as Trump, but I'll do my final thought and then you can have yours. Mine is a vote for anybody but Hillary is a vote for Trump. These two other parties, the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, are not going to win. We should prepare for the next 4 fucking years. Make sure Democrats participate in congressional fucking votes, because that's what led to all this bullshit. But speaking of leading to repeating historic bullshit, the reason Al Gore is not our president is because of Ralph Nader. And Ralph Nader is Bernie Sanders. That's the problem, because we will not people don't take votes away from Trump to vote for Bernie. The majority of the votes that will be taken away from Hillary to go to Bernie. So if we split it, and if you look at it, you said he won almost half the vote. So basically, Bernie and Hillary have to split all the Democrats that fucking vote, and one of them still have to beat all the conservatives of Donald Trump. And I have no faith in the intelligence of this country as a whole. Donald Trump has shown how fucking retarded we are.
So my final thought is we need at least 4 major parties in this country.
Sure.
I would encourage anybody who has libertarian views to vote for the libertarian candidate, because Donald Trump is not a true conservative and not somebody who a true libertarian would represent. Just look at Rand Paul and Trump's back and forth. But I would also like to say that Jill Stein might not win the presidency. I think it's a matter of principle. I think, I don't know. I just, it's going to be rough. And this is, you keep saying 4 years. You are talking about the next 8 years. There is no way in hell that, she's gonna win now and not be the exact same thing is not gonna happen in 4 years. It's gonna happen. So now we have 8 years of a Clinton presidency. The thing that worries me is when you look back. So you have, I mean, George Bush, the first, then Clinton, then George Bush, then Obama, then Clinton. I mean, 4 of the last 5 presidents have been from 2 families. To me, that's not how this country should be ran.
It's not. I guess the overall question is, it's a risk no matter what you do, but it's a matter of what you're willing to risk. And honestly, at the end of the day, I'm listening to what Bernie said to do. Ensure Donald Trump does not get into office.
And we didn't discuss it because it's and probably a pipe dream long shot, but he does have 45, let's say, % of the Democratic votes and 70% of the independent votes. That's a pretty big voting bloc.
Yeah, but
if
Hillary Clinton,
if he were to join Jill Stein, because remember, independents were locked out a lot of primaries,
right?
So their voices didn't count. Correct. Even if they were Bernie supporters or whatever. Yep. So when you put those together, it's a pretty big block. And I don't. He's already said he doesn't want to do it, but she's continuously reaching out to it. I think it's going to be interesting, and we'll have to discuss it more as
time goes on. I mean, the only thing that would get me to vote for Bernie Sanders now to do the Bernie or bust thing it's not a Bernie or bust scenario. It's if somebody else enters the party from the right that's going to take votes away from Trump. If we get an establishment Republican on that ticket, because I don't give a look. I'm good with the Green Party. I think libertarians, the few that I've met, not down with them. At their convention, they're talking about how we shouldn't have driver's licenses. The government should tell us when and how we can drive a car. Little much for me, but so those 2 parties, they're not shit. We're not going to see a president from either one of those 2. But if we do get an establishment Republican on the other side to run to the right or left, I'm not even sure which, of Donald Trump, run to the sane side of Donald Trump, as sane as they can possibly manage. Then if Bernie runs, then if we have somebody equally taking votes away from their front runner and their nomination, then I'm good. But I am not going to Ralph Nader this shit, because everything that was caused from George fucking Bush, we can't have that. We've had eight years of Obama doing everything he can to clean this fucking mess up despite all the goddamn obstacles. We cannot do this again. We cannot hand this house back over to a Republican. And I'd still rather do that than hand it over to Donald Trump. Speaking of Trump. Oh, man. Speaking of Trump. What?
Before you go on your Trump, before you go there, I have a anecdote here that I remembered back from high school. I don't think I told this story about when I ran for class president in my government class. I remembered it because I had asked my teacher, I didn't want to be a Democrat or Republican, and she said you couldn't make up a party. So I asked her some of the other parties, and she said the Green Party. And,
of course.
And so I chose the Green Party. I had a couple friends. We were in a group, and I decided to run, and they were kind of my staff, I guess. And for some reason, I had the brilliant idea I was going to run on legalization of marijuana. That was my main talking point. So I did a little video about talking about the benefits and all this stuff. I don't know if I mentioned on here before, but I have a rivalry with little blonde girls. For some reason, it's always the little blonde conservative women that they just don't like me.
The Ann Coulters of the world.
And exactly, Ann Coulters, exactly. It just so happens that the only other person running for president in the class was the Ann Coulter. She was a twin, blonde. She had a Mustang at 16. It was really, well taken care of girl.
Yeah.
So her video was a little different. Mine, I just stood up there and gave a speech and stuff like that. Her video was she was going to stop illegal immigrants. And in her video, she showed her and her Mustang. And there was one, it was college prep government or whatever. So there was one black kid in the class. They had him portray the Mexican, go to Taco Bell, grab a bag of Taco Bell, jump the fence at Taco Bell, and she hit them with her car and said, "I'm gonna stop the illegal immigrants from coming. Vote for me." Luckily, I won.
Was her name Ivanka?
Oh no, I didn't. Yeah,
no, we were not rich enough to go to high school with the Trumps.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so that story just came up, and I thought it was interesting because, I mean, I graduated in 2004, and this was kind of the legalization versus the stop the immigrants thing was brought up back then. So okay, go ahead, on to Trump.
How much time do we have? How much time do we waste on that fucking argument?
We got 15 minutes left.
15 minutes. Okay, so let me see. I want to.
That's good. We haven't gone back and forth in a while. So.
Yeah, we haven't. Let me see here. So I got a bunch for Trump. Let me run through one other thing. Oh, Tony Robbins. Did you hear what happened to him?
Oh, the firewalker.
Yeah, the firewalk. So this is hilarious. So he held an event where walking over hot coals is kind of a normal thing. Although 40 people got injured this time, and 5 of them were sent to the Dallas hospital from a walking on coal exercise. And even though 40 people were injured and 5 were sent to the hospital, it was called a success. Also, hey, we have a lot of religion on this episode. This is good. Also, the Pope says that Christians and Catholics should apologize to gays. This is huge. This is very, very big.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple things. I mean, if you've watched any of Hitchens' debate, there's 2 people that he debated with that have been in the news recently, and
oh yeah,
it's great for me because I've watched a lot of almost all his debates, and most of them are 10, 15 years old. So it's nice to see some of these guys still look stupid in their current arguments. The first one was for this one, and it was, I think his name's Donahue, but I can't remember. I think it's either Bill or Phil. It's not obviously
Phil
not
the old
not
talk show
the
guy?
Phil. No, not that guy.
I think that was Phil Donahue though.
Yeah, I think he's Phil. This guy's Donahue. I gotta look up his first name, but he's the in charge of the American Catholic League, and he's basically the American spokes. He's not affiliated with the church, but he's like the person that they always go to when there's some kind of Catholic thing in America. And it was pretty funny listening to him. He ended up saying the gays need to apologize for him, and he's waiting for his apology from the gays. But if you get a chance, check that out. Donahue versus the Pope gay marriage.
Fuck Donahue. Get to the next one.
The next one is
one of my favorite people.
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes.
Was at Politicon, and he was debating with the Young Turks, Sink Unger, and it was a good debate. It's a classic. It was actually nice. It was the conservative versus liberal basically argument. Sink got him a couple times. Dinesh D'Souza, of course, just went to jail for donating money to a candidate illegally.
Yep.
So he's always interesting to hear. It was always interesting to hear him in the religious debates.
Wait. Did he say? Oh, wait, no, they were sitting at this one. They were sitting down.
Sitting down.
Oh, shit. If you ever notice, I've seen probably 3 or 4 debates with Dinesh, and he always makes the same joke when he gets up there. Thank God they are using wide podiums, so I don't have to wear pants. I've heard him make that joke 2 or 3 fucking times. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's just it was pretty funny. Also, if you get a chance, check out the full debate. Sink got him a couple times. Dinesh was trying to accuse Hillary of different things and calling her a crook, and eventually Sink told him, he was like, "Hey, you keep calling her a crook, but you're the one that just got released from jail recently."
Not only that, he keeps calling Hillary Clinton a crook. Now, sure, I don't doubt it with Hillary Clinton, but I will say that he made one of the funniest documentaries. He made Obama's America 2016, which is a documentary where he like goes to Kenya and finds out that Obama was raised by a radical Islamic guy when he was in Hawaii, and this explains all the weird decisions he's making. And then at the very end, I wish I had these notes on me, but at the very end, I made it was a post on my personal Facebook, but he made a bunch of predictions that we would be out of nuclear weapons by the time Obama left off, by 2016, because there was no doubt Obama was only going to last one term. So we'd be out of nuclear weapons. Actually, that increased. The military spending would be completely depleted, which I remember hearing people say back in 2007. Well, if you care about our security and our military budget, you better not vote for Obama. Bullshit. He spent more money on the fucking military than Bush did, and that included the initial invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan. And they said, and then the one thing that he said that was correct was that we would be damn near $20 trillion in debt by the time Obama left office. However, if you look up who's responsible for that debt, Obama's responsible for about 8 of it. The majority of that is shared between the two Bushes and Bill Clinton. Anyway, yeah, Dennis D'Souza is a fucking...
He's a tool, but it was nice to hear him in the debate again, because he was kind of spinning his wheels, and it's always good just to hear the conservative get destroyed on national TV.
Well, it's good to hear he's back on his feet behind a podium without his pants on. It's great.
And then one more remark on there. Sink, he asked him a loaded question, and I think it was something again about Hillary, like, you know, maybe a crook called her. How can you be a progressive and vote for the crook Hillary? And you know, Sink said, well, yeah, you know, that's a pretty loaded question. It's like asking you, you know, when did you stop beating your wife? And then he said, but if you look at your divorce records, right, basically, I guess he did. So
that's fucking great.
He was well prepared, and like I said, I encourage anybody to check it out. It's a good modern debate. So
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we got about 10 minutes left, so I know we need Brexit still.
Get through Brexit. So I got notes. I'll rattle them off real quick. But also, speaking of debates, for those of you that are listening that are atheists or agnostic, or, you know, whatever the case, and you want to watch a good a guy that really knows how to debate, especially on the atheist side, look up Christopher Hitchens. You can find him on our website under the research and debate tab. Fucking amazing. The shit that man used to say. And with his British accent, it was awesome. But just because now I have to admit defeat. A few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I said something about English people typically sounding smarter because of their accent. Remember this?
Yes.
That's not the fucking case anymore. Just because somebody sounds like Michael Caine does not necessarily mean what's coming out of their mouth or decisions that they make are good ones. So we are talking about Brexit now. So here's the deal. Overall, the most Googled questions after the voting that took place the next day was, what is the EU and what are the benefits of the EU? So,
and the problem is that was the most looked up thing from Britain.
Yeah, it wasn't
from
not
the
in
UK.
the world.
Yeah, not the world.
From that country. Exactly. Yeah. So thanks for pointing that out. I missed that. But yes, that is strictly the voters did their research a day late. Much of the reason why marijuana is not legal in California. So
hey, that's on the ballot in November.
Just show the fuck up this year then. I'm in Colorado. We did it. Anyway.
I will. Jill Stein, 2016.
We'll argue about that again next week. So anyway, here's what the EU is. So the EU, it's a European Union. And basically, for the most part, what it allows Europeans to do is travel to and from any country they want within the Union without a passport, do business, do trading, all that shit. But it also has to do with your healthcare system and helping out other economies. So they do take tax dollars. In a nutshell, that's the important shit, right?
I mean, when you think about it, because of the size of the countries over there, and you can almost compare them to states over here.
Yeah, they're not very big.
I mean, it's almost like the United States. You know, I mean, you have a bunch of over there, obviously they're countries.
They're all about the size of fucking Florida. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost kind of a similar kind of thing. They just came together so they can negotiate together and things like that. Yeah.
So the rest of the story goes that they were this guy named Boris Johnson, who is the Donald Trump of Britain, led the charge with other people in the Conservative Party over in the UK, and basically said that our money is being taken and given away to other countries, and it could be used here, so it's going to go towards our healthcare system, and it's going to improve your taxes. All the shit that you fucking hear from the conservatives over here that has to do with trickle-down economics and blaming everybody but the rich motherfuckers that pay them to remain in office and vote in their favor. You blame all the fucking poor people and the goddamn immigrants. Oh, speaking of immigrants. So the economic strategy didn't really work all that well for everybody. So when the Conservative Party figured that out, they said, well, let's also turn this to immigration. So they started saying we're going to get rid of all these illegal immigrants, and that's really going to improve our economy. So, a few random notes here. Trump, speaking about this in Scotland, who they decided to stay, and they're also whatever. Watch Braveheart.
They voted months before. They voted months before, and I know because I like my Scotch whiskey. Yeah. So I was wondering how that was going to get affected, but I mean. I knew that they voted to stay. It doesn't. This is why
I knew where the fuck he was, and they called him a orange-headed fuck trumpet. How would you say that in a Scottish accent? Orange-headed fuck trumpet, like something like that. That's fuck. I just butchered the fucking Scott. If Nick was on here, Nick can do a spot-on Scottish accent. Next time he's on the show, we're gonna get him to say fuck trumpet. Anyway,
there's a list actually.
Yeah, there was a list. Fuck trumpet was the one. That was the one I remembered because that was the funniest one out of all of them. So anyway, he gets up there on stage in Scotland, not knowing where the fuck he was, and says they took their country back. While in Scotland, who's staying with the European Union, and another thing. So it's Independence Day tomorrow. It's 4th of July. That's the day that I'm not going to think everybody's a complete fucking idiot every time I see an American flag. It's 4th of July. All good. Cool. Patriotism. Rock the fuck on. But Britain is saying that this was their independence. And Trump echoed that comment, that this is their independence. What? When the fuck have they not been independent?
When they were conquering... Yeah. When they were conquering half the world.
I don't fucking get it. When the fuck have they ever been when has Britain ever been oppressed? They took an entire continent and used it for a fucking prison, and now we have Aussies. Now we got people running around going, this here's a knife. Like, hey, that was better. That was better than my Scottish one. Anyway, moving on. Also this week, Trump doubled down on torture. And here's how this relates to Brexit. He sits there and talks to, I love waterboarding. We need to do more extreme stuff than waterboarding. The whole crowd fucking cheers. This is what tapping into your anger can do, because most of the people that voted for Brexit, and I don't want to bring up our fucking argument, but this applies to my side of what I was saying earlier, is people did this. They voted for Brexit to express their unhappiness with the establishment.
No, I don't think that's true. I think when you look at the age...
That's what they said.
It's mostly older people that voted for the leave. I think I agree with half of what you said, but to take it to the establishment, I don't necessarily. Obviously I don't know.
They were unsatisfied with their established parties, whatever party they were affiliated with. They were unhappy with it.
It's like a nationalist, thing. It's we only care about us.
No, but that's a big thing over here too. That's why a lot of people are with Trump. I mean, we said it before. When you ask people why they like Trump, they say he's not a politician, even though he holds all similarities with the ideal politician that everybody hates.
Yeah, but I guess my point is they're not electing somebody here. I mean,
they were going to. Mr. Boris Johnson, Donald Trump with a British accent, decided to lead the charge against David Cameron, lead everybody into the chaos, and then pulled out at the last fucking minute and didn't accept the prime minister's seat.
But there's another guy. I think his name is either Flange or Frange or some. I'm sorry, I don't remember it. But he's the one that gave a speech to the European Union, basically a "fuck you" speech.
Yeah.
After they won,
Which was pretty fucking harsh.
Yeah, it was.
And funny.
he told them not a single one of you have probably ever worked a job in your lives or created a job in your lives, or But I think he's basically the henchman in charge now. So
well, he was, but Boris did just fucking walk away.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, they led the charge for it, but it's not necessarily. I don't know. I don't think it's the same as. You can't say it's the same as voting for somebody. This is voting for a referendum or something like that.
No, but this would be like making trickle-down economics and religious law amendments to our Bill of Rights.
No, I don't think that would be fair. I think this. Well, I guess maybe more like saying people from the Muslim countries couldn't come to America, and it came to a vote. If it came to a vote, of course Donald Trump would be the one saying, "Hey, everybody, vote for it." Well, it's hard to compare.
Well, either way, to top it off on a funny note, where did I see this? I think I saw it on the Daily Show. You can find, if you go onto Pornhub and type "dumb blonde fucks 15 million people at once" on Pornhub, there will be a picture and video of Boris Johnson announcing that Brexit went through. And Pornhub apparently, even though it's not porn, is letting it stay on its site, which I just think is hilarious. Like I said, I saw that on the Daily Show. I was not watching Pornhub. All right, lastly for Trump, this is the last thing I got. What do we got, like 3 minutes left?
We'll be about 2 minutes over if we do that.
All right,
sure.
Whatever. James Dobson, who is the host of God Factor Radio, said that Trump is a born-again Christian. Doesn't know shit about religion, however. But he is a born-again Christian. Now, here's a little thing about Dobson. I did some research with this guy. So he used to have a radio show called the Family Radio Hour, and he left that after his co-founder was caught in Europe with a gay prostitute. Also, he used to be best friends with Ted Haggart. Does everybody remember who Ted Haggart was? Alex, why don't you tell us what Ted Haggart did and who he was?
Well, he was the evangelical preacher who got busted with a gay prostitute as well, right?
And who did he used to have morning prayers with? It was some guy that Ted Haggart. Haggart comes over. We have prayers. Oh man, I have a friend that I'm bombing impressions tonight. Anyway, it was George fucking Bush. He used to go pray with the Bushes at the White House, and he was busted. So there's a bit of a pattern here with this Dobson guy. But I saw that he said that Trump was a born again Christian, yet his 2 Corinthians put together doesn't amount to shit for Bible knowledge. So I was like, hey, I bet. And this was the funny part about this whole thing. When I saw this guy's name, I went, wait a minute. He's a radio host for Christians. I bet if I just spent 2 minutes Googling him, I'll find something. I didn't find anything on him, but I found something on 2 of his closest fucking friends, and it had to do with gay prostitutes. Funny how those things happen.
Circle jerk going on.
What?
Circle jerk in the morning.
Something. I don't know how the hell this guy's getting away. Somebody needs to schlong Dobson. That's a good hashtag. Schlong Dobson. That's what needs to happen. This guy cannot have his 2 friends getting all the and again, I say this as a lover of the LGBT community, all the butt sex that they want, but Dobson is getting his and he's not getting caught. So we need to slong Dobson.
I thought you were going to use a glory hole reference there.
Oh, glory! Yeah. How can I tie that to church? I'm not exactly sure. Slong Dobson hashtag. That's what I'm
leave
thinking.
Leave a donation either way.
Yes, please leave your donations in the glory hole. Insert in the glory hole. There we go.
Oh, it's time to go.
That's one way to shit out George Washington. All right, moving on. Brexit. I missed this note, so the last thing I'll say on this show is that, for this episode is that I guarantee somebody made a shit ton of money somewhere. That's all I have to say. That's the last thing I have to say about Brexit. It's, as I always say, it's all about the fucking money. Somebody or some few or some group got really fucking rich. So, with that, Alex, good to have you back, man. Good to have
it was nice.
Good to have an argument with you. That's been a long time. we'll revisit that argument as time gets closer to election. But yeah, good to finally be back and both of us settled in our new locations. So with that, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.